Hello, everyone. First of all, thank you very much for allowing me to speak to you today. I'm sure we have a lot of technology gurus in the room. So I'm very excited to be speaking to you today a little bit about myself and my experience. So I'm a systems engineer, graduated quite a while ago, but I turned into an addicted entrepreneur 28 years ago. So in the last 28 years, I've launched over 20 businesses. Some of them are global, some of them are healthcare, and it's been a lot of fun. So before we start, I'd like to share something funny with you. Funny joke that I heard the other day. I don't think it has much to do with data, but I'll share it anyway. So this guy went to the forest to kind of be alone by himself and get some tranquility time, and he ended up running into a lion. So the man got scared, started running, the lion kept running after him, and he came to this big rock where he stopped, and the man saw no way out. So he stopped, put his hands up, and started praying. He looks next to him, and the lion did the exact same thing, started putting his hands up. So the man looked at the lion and said, "I'm praying so God can save me. What are you doing?" And the lion said, "Well, I usually pray before I eat." So everybody's eating everybody out there these days, so I figured this would be appropriate. All right, so let's get started. Predictive analytics, predicting the unpredictable. So today I thought I would share my humble 30-some years of experience with you in 10 minutes. And I'm going to talk about a few examples that have I ran across over the past 20-some businesses that might be helpful to some of you guys. So my marketing team did a great job finding a real cool, nostalgic commercial that I think will jog some of your memories. What am I pointing at? Next. All right, there we go.
The flowers are going inside the technology. It's right at your fingertip. At Apple, we believe the best measure of a computer's power is in the performance of the people and organizations using it. Every Macintosh personal computer is designed from the chip side to enhance human performance, giving people the ability to answer a wide variety of applications and to exchange information easily across networks. So that people and organizations continue to grow in productivity and in accomplishments. I believe the user should share where the data is as long as he gets it to do something. And if he's doing some kind of report or something, document, this is very easy to use, super good for managing interface kind of stuff. And if some of the things on the internet, some of them server, some of them host, and you don't care, it's moving around in real time. Yeah, that's the future.
That's the future. So 30 years ago this month, I started my senior year in college in systems engineering. And I was working with a professor, Dr. Edelman. I won't never forget the professor. And we were working on a project where we were working with the psychology department. They were interviewing different people, and we were taking that information, and we would take the sentences and divide it out by hand and identify what the patient might have meant in each part of the sentence. And I remember vividly back then, I went to Dr. Edelman and I said, I was taking this information and putting it into a Mac SE30, into an Excel spreadsheet with numbers and tallying it up at the end. It was kind of exciting that we can have a spreadsheet. And I asked him, I said, this really would be a great project for someone to be able to take this data and analyze it without us doing it by hand. It was all being printed on paper, divided with a paper and pen, and we were tallying everything up. And he looked at me and he said, "Hesham, the data phenomena is starting. And all these computers that you're starting to see, this is where it's going to." Now, this professor was a professor of human-computer interface, so he had some ideas. And it was really then that we figured out, back 30 years ago, that data is coming up. in data automation and data analytics and private labeling different data packages to make sure that companies and public sectors can get their own data in a specific, secured manner. So now we'll talk a little bit about Centro. And I'm not going to be here, I'm not going to stand up here and tell you, Centro, what we do exactly and where things are, because that's really not for me to do. But I will tell you this so that my team doesn't kill me. Centro is data-driven. It's a data-driven organization. We help clients with data governance, with data analytics, and machine learning. And we have a team outside. If you would like to chat, we would love to meet with you and see how we can help your organization grow. So that being said, Vision 2030. Usually as an organization, when we partner up with a new client that we call service partner versus a technology partner. When we partner up with a new client, we always look for 4 checks. 4 check marks that we always go through with the client before we proceed any further or propose any solutions or talk about anything that we want to do with them. First check is a vision. Now, we all know Vision 2030, one of the most impressive, well thought out, elaborate visions that I have personally seen in the past 30 years. And the way it's being executed to the dot. So the first thing that we check with our client is to see where their vision is. Some clients come to us and say, I have no idea where we're going. I can't see where we're going. And we stop them and say, okay, let's not work on anything until we get your vision cleared out. Once the vision is cleared out, everything else will flow smoothly. So after the vision is clarified, which is the first check, then we have the 3 other checks that are kind of one after the other, one leads into the other, and they all work together in perfect harmony if you have the right vision. Technology, process, and people. So once we get into the technology part, predicting the unpredictable. This is the predictive analytics role. And I want to share with you 2 stories, 2 businesses that I have launched over the past 20 years. One was the biggest failure I had, and the other one was the biggest success I had. And I'll tell you what happened. So when you look at the predicting the unpredictable, and you're looking at reducing cost, sales and marketing, customer experience, workforce productivity, which is really the essence of any business or any organization out there. So I'll share with you the biggest failure that I had in my professional career. This was in 2008. I was launching a large-scale design and furniture expo in one of the most prestigious and expensive parts of the United States. This was a complete city block, about 40,000 square meters of expo center and furniture stores, and it was a huge project. And the objective was to build it for a year, have it be acquired by one of the largest retailers that does home care. We did everything correct except one thing. We did not look at the analytics for mortgage lending in the US. We opened our doors the same month the housing bubble exploded in the US. We had no idea, and some people had an idea about the explosion, but we had no idea. We did not look at the analytics and predict what's going to happen correctly. So we had a lot of crickets for customers, a lot of spiders, and that's pretty much it. And then the business ended up recovering after a couple of years. So using technology, where now what we're seeing is at least 10% sales increase by Gartner for AI-powered personalization can increase it for you. I'm looking at the time. AI technology can boost labor productivity by up to 40% across industries. But my favorite one, to be honest, is the enhanced customer experience. 51% of consumers expect you to know what they want. And this is huge. This was my biggest success as a business entrepreneur. Oops. This was my biggest success as an entrepreneur. 2004, I had a medical supply company in the US that was nationwide, and I came up with an algorithm with my IT department. We were able to predict to a 42% accuracy why the customer was calling and what they're going to be asking for, and knowing what their reason for call is, and knowing what they're looking for and being ahead of them was a huge success. We were growing 230% year over year. And after 3 years, the success part of the story is it was sold to a company, pharmaceutical company. I can't disclose the name. It starts with PF, but you'll figure out the rest. But I cannot disclose that. So that was really one of the best scenarios that we had for predictive analytics. So when you don't look at all the analytics correctly, there's a huge potential for disaster. And when you look at all the details and you predict what customer wants, that's where you have the upside. Now, the good news is when you do predict what your client wants, you have a customer for life. You have a customer that's going to stay with you because they feel heard and they feel that you know them and you know what they want, and they make sure that they don't leave you. Let's go to the next. Sorry. Process. So we have a saying in Centro that says, the absence of process is chaos, or chaos is the absence of process. And process is the blueprint for success. So any client that we engage with, if we do not see that they are process-oriented, again, we stop. Technology comes easy. We can employ technology in a heartbeat. But if they don't have a process that they are employing internally for their own people, this is where the problems happen. And Sadaya did a great job with NDMO, because having NDMO in place is really making everything so smooth for all of the organizations, public and private, to be able to comply with it. So process is key. And the biggest part of the process is people adherence. So if you have the right people in place and the right certification and the right tools for your people, this is where organizations grow, and this is where we have seen the success versus the failures. So I have a story about the people part. That's my daughter, and that's in Luxor, in Upper Egypt. She was visiting in Egypt a couple of weeks ago, and we went on a nice tour down south, or up south, and I'm going to show you a zoom in of what's behind us. I kind of spoiled it, but anyway. This is Hatshepsut, Temple of Hatshepsut. This was the most famous, strongest, most popular Egyptian pharaoh ruler of all times. She was hiding herself as a man during her 6 years of ruling. She won the most battles, conquered the most countries, but she was hiding as a man because she knew that they would not accept her in power. And one of the best things that we're seeing, and I'm personally seeing it's very close to my heart because my daughter is very close to me, is how the women are becoming empowered in KSA. Women in the right positions does wonders. My own personal organization, we have always decided to make sure, and we have it as a very important mandate, that we keep the balance between men and women balanced in the senior management team at least. Women bring a really good perspective, and I guess I can say this because I think some ladies here will protect me if anything goes wrong, but most of the time women are a lot smarter than men in some situations. Yeah, don't need to applaud, just protect me when I go out there from all these guys. But women in power has really been a huge part of the discovery of where things are going in technology specifically. And it's very, very heartwarming to see that women are really rolling up their sleeves and learning and being educated and taking on very important roles. So to wrap it all up, It's about vision, technology, people, and process. I wish you all the best, and thank you very much.